The beginning of the surprise, Keanu Reeves sat quietly in his home, looking out of the window at the city lights. He was known to the world as an actor, but his closest friends knew him as a man of humility, calmness, and deep respect for others. On this night, his thoughts were not about movies or fame. They were about someone who had become very special to him, Ana de Armas. She had always carried herself with kindness, a quiet strength that reminded him of his own battles in life. Keanu wanted to do something different, something she would never forget. Ana was used to the glamorous events, the flashing lights of cameras, and the endless attention from the world. But Keanu knew her heart. She did not want more fame. She wanted real connection, honesty, and a moment of truth. That was the kind of surprise he planned to give her. The story began when Ana had just finished a long day on set. Her eyes were tired, and her smile had faded into exhaustion. She walked into her apartment expecting silence and solitude. But instead, she found a small letter placed carefully on her table. The handwriting was gentle, almost shy. She recognized it immediately. It was from Keanu. The letter said, "Sometimes the brightest gifts are hidden in the quietest places. Follow the path I left for you, and you will find what your heart has been waiting for." Ana held the letter in her hands, her heart racing. Keanu was not a man of grand words. When he spoke from the soul. This letter meant that something deeper was waiting for her. She looked around the apartment and noticed a single candle lit in the corner. Beside it lay a small wooden box. With trembling hands, Ana opened the box and found an old key inside. There was also a note written in the same handwriting. "This key opens a door to more than a place. It opens the door to truth." At that moment, Ana felt a rush of emotion. She did not know if she should laugh or cry. She knew Keanu's surprises were never about luxury or material things. They were about feelings, memories, and silent lessons of life. The next evening, she followed the instructions written at the bottom of the note. It guided her to a quiet street away from the noise of the city. The air was cool, and the streetlights gave the road a soft glow. Her steps were slow, filled with suspense. What was she walking into? When she reached the address, she saw a small building, nothing like the glamorous hotels or restaurants they had been to. It was old, but full of character. She placed the key into the door and slowly turned it. The sound of the lock opening echoed like the beginning of a song. Inside, the room was filled with warmth. Candles flickered along the walls, and there were photographs of simple moments in life. Smiles of strangers, children playing, an old man feeding birds, and a mother holding her baby. Every picture told a story of kindness, of love that had nothing to do with money or fame. And in the middle of the room stood Keanu. He was not dressed in luxury. He wore simple clothes, the kind that made him blend with the ordinary world. Yet his presence filled the room with peace. He smiled gently at her, as if this was not a surprise but a natural meeting of two souls. "Welcome," he said softly. "This is a place where I wanted to bring you, a place where every picture tells the truth about life. Tonight is not about me, not about you, not about Hollywood. It is about remembering what really matters." Ana felt tears in her eyes. She had never expected this. She thought the surprise might be a gift, a dinner, or a gesture of romance. But what she saw was deeper. It was a reflection of the respect and humility that Keanu carried in his heart. In that moment, the air between them was silent, yet heavy with emotion. She walked closer, her voice shaking. "Keanu, this is beautiful." He nodded and replied, "Life gives us many stages to act on, but the greatest stage is when we choose to act with kindness. I wanted you to see that with me." The night stretched on. They walked around the room together, looking at each photograph, sharing stories of their own struggles, their victories, their losses. Ana spoke about the times she felt broken but kept moving forward. Keanu shared memories of loneliness and how he found strength through humility. Their voices blended with the glow of the candles, and the room became a temple of truth. It was not just a surprise anymore. It was a reminder that in a world full of noise, two people could still find peace in silence, respect in honesty, and love in simplicity. Ana knew in that moment that this surprise was not about an evening. It was about a lesson she would carry forever. Keanu had given her not just a memory, but a truth she would never forget. And this was only the beginning of a journey that would take both of them to places they had never imagined. The echo of silence. The night after Keanu's surprise, Ana could not sleep. She lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, her mind filled with images of the photographs on the walls. Every picture carried a piece of truth, a message that still echoed inside her heart. The silence of her room felt heavy, almost alive, as if it was asking her to think deeper about what she had just experienced. She had lived in a world where attention and applause came daily, but those pictures showed her a life she had almost forgotten. The face of a child laughing while holding a small balloon. The tired eyes of a worker resting on a bench. The wrinkled hands of a grandmother passing bread to a stranger. These were not moments of fame, yet they were powerful. They reminded her of her own childhood, the times when love came in simple forms, not wrapped in glamour. The next morning, Ana decided to meet Keanu. She wanted to thank him, but more than that, she wanted to understand why he chose to show her this hidden world. When she arrived at the small building again, the door was already open. Keanu was sitting on the wooden floor, his back against the wall, lost in thought. He looked up and gave her a soft smile. "You came back." Ana nodded. "I could not stop thinking about last night. Why did you do this for me?" Keanu took a deep breath, his eyes reflecting years of quiet battles. "Because I know what it feels like to carry a smile for the world and hide your real feelings inside. I wanted to give you something real, something that will stay even when the lights fade." Ana sat beside him, her heart beating faster. "But why me, Keanu? There are many people in your life. Why did you choose me for this?" He lowered his gaze, his voice slow and honest. "Because I see in you the same struggle I lived. You shine on the outside, but inside, you fight to protect your truth. I wanted you to know you don't have to fight alone." His words cut through the silence, striking a place inside her she rarely allowed anyone to see. She had always been strong in front of others, but his kindness opened a door she had kept locked for years. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "You're right. Sometimes I feel lost. Sometimes I feel like I am only a character people watch, not the person I truly am. Last night, you gave me something I didn't even know I needed." Keanu reached out and gently held her hand. There was no grand gesture, no performance. It was a simple touch, filled with respect. "Then hold on to it. The world may try to take it from you, but remember this place. Remember what you felt here." As they sat together, a knock suddenly echoed on the door. Both of them looked up, surprised. Keanu stood and walked to open it. An old man entered, his clothes worn, his steps slow but steady. He smiled at Keanu and then at Ana, as if he already knew them. "I see you've brought her here," the old man said in a gentle voice. Ana looked at Keanu, confused. "You know him?" Keanu nodded. "This is Mr. Ramos. He owns this building. He taught me about kindness when I was young, at a time when I had nothing. I wouldn't be the man I am today without him." Mr. Ramos chuckled softly. "Keanu exaggerates, but yes, we have known each other for many years. I'm glad you came, young lady. This place has always been meant to remind people that the world is bigger than their pain." Ana felt her chest tighten with emotion. This was not just Keanu's idea. It was part of something larger, something built from wisdom passed through generations. Mr. Ramos walked to the wall, pointing at one photograph of a woman holding a broken umbrella in the rain, still smiling. This was taken the day she lost, her home in a fire. Yet she smiled because her children were safe. That is the power of gratitude. Anna's eyes watered again. She whispered, "This is more than a room. This is a mirror of life." Keanu placed his hand on her shoulder. "And now it is part of your story, too." For the first time in years, Anna felt like she was not pretending. She was not an actress in that moment. She was just a human being, fragile yet strong, broken yet healing. But little did she know. This journey with Keanu was only beginning. The real test of her heart would come when the world outside discovered the truth of what was growing between them. And the weight of that truth would either break them apart or bind them forever. The hidden weight of truth. The days that followed were quiet, yet heavy, with unspoken meaning. Anna returned again and again to the small building where Keanu had shown her the photographs. Each time she entered, she felt as though she was stepping into another world, a place where the noise of fame and the burden of public eyes could not touch her. But outside, life was not so simple. Reporters followed her, flashing cameras wherever she went. Questions about her personal life filled the air like a storm. "Are you and Keanu together? Is there something more than friendship?" Every word carried pressure, every headline stole her peace. Inside the room, however, the silence was healing. Keanu and Anna would sit on the wooden floor, speaking not like stars but like two souls searching for truth. Keanu shared stories from his past, moments when loneliness almost broke him. Anna listened with tears in her eyes, because she too knew. The feeling of walking through fame while carrying a heart that was quietly bleeding, yet something began to grow between them, something neither could deny. It was not just friendship. It was not just respect. It was a bond deeper than words, born from their shared wounds and healed by their shared kindness. Still, both of them feared what would happen if the world discovered this bond. Fame is not kind. It twists truth, creates rumors, and turns love into headlines. One evening, as they sat together, Anna spoke in a trembling voice. "Keanu, what happens if people find out about us? What happens if they try to destroy this before it even begins?" Keanu looked at her with calm eyes, the kind of eyes that carried storms, yet chose peace. "Anna, the world can take many things from us, but it cannot take away what is real. If this bond is true, it will survive even the darkest voices." She wanted to believe him, but deep inside, she carried fear. She had lost trust before. People had betrayed her. People had used her pain for their own gain. The thought of losing this fragile peace terrified her. That night, she left the building with a heavy heart. The city lights seemed harsher, the cameras brighter, the noise louder. As she walked into her apartment, she froze. There, on her table, lay another letter. It was not from Keanu. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside, the words were cruel, sharp like knives. "You think the world will accept your truth? You think kindness can hide what people really want? You and Keanu will be broken before this even begins." Anna's breath caught in her chest. Her eyes darted across the room, wondering who could have sent it. Was it a reporter? Was it someone from her past? Or was it someone close to her now? Fear spread through her veins like cold fire. She picked up her phone and called Keanu. When he answered, his voice was calm as always. But when she read the words of the letter, silence filled the line. "Don't let this break you," he finally said. "Letters are shadows, and shadows cannot touch the truth unless you give them power." Anna wanted to believe his strength, but the fear inside her was real. "Keanu, what if they try to hurt you through me? What if I'm the reason you lose your peace?" His answer was soft, yet firm. "Anna, peace is not given by the world. It is built inside. No letter, no rumor, no voice can take that from me. And if I must walk through fire to protect you, then I will. Tears spilled from her eyes as she held the letter in her hands. For the first time, she realized this journey was not just about a surprise anymore. It was about facing battles neither of them asked for, battles that would test their strength, their resilience, and their faith in each other. And somewhere, in the shadows, someone was watching, waiting, ready to strike again. Whispers of the storm. The letter had left a shadow in Anna's heart. No matter how many times Keanu told her not to give it power, the words replayed in her mind like a song she could not silence. Each time she walked through the city, she felt eyes on her. Each time her phone buzzed with a message, fear crawled inside her chest. Yet in the middle of this fear, she kept returning to the quiet building. The photographs on the walls seemed to whisper to her, reminding her of strength, of humility, of the truth that kindness was stronger than cruelty. Keanu was always there, waiting with calm eyes and steady presence. He never pushed her to speak, but when she did, he listened with his full heart. One night, she finally broke down. Sitting beside him on the wooden floor, tears poured down her face as she whispered, "I don't know if I can carry this. I feel like the world is ready to crush me. What if I am not strong enough?" Keanu placed his hand gently over hers. Strength is not about never falling, Anna. It is about standing again every time you are pushed down. I have fallen many times in life. I have lost. I have hurt. I have been alone. But I learned that even in the darkest moments, respect and kindness can guide you back. His words were not dramatic. They were simple, yet they pierced through her fear like light breaking into a dark room. Anna wiped her tears, staring at him. "How do you stay so calm when the world is so cruel?" He smiled softly. "Because I stopped trying to fight the world. I only fight to protect the truth inside me. Once you understand that, the world cannot control you anymore." Those words sank deep into her soul. She felt something shift inside her, a small seed of courage beginning to grow. But outside their quiet place, the storm was already building. Headlines began to spread. Photographs of Keanu and Anna leaving the building together appeared on gossip sites. Words like secret meetings and hidden love were written in bold letters. People on social media shouted opinions. Some kind, some cruel. Anna's phone did not stop buzzing. Messages came from her manager, from her friends, even from people she had not spoken to in years. Some warned her to step away from Keanu. Others demanded to know the truth. She felt cornered, like the walls of her life were closing in. One evening, as she sat in her apartment surrounded by the noise of messages, another envelope slid under her door. Her chest tightened as she picked it up. She already knew it was from the same shadow who had written before. This time, the words were harsher. "The world will never forgive you for choosing truth over image. If you continue this path, both you and Keanu will lose everything." Anna's hands trembled. Fear and anger mixed inside her. She wanted to scream, but instead she pressed the letter to her chest and closed her eyes. She thought of the photographs on the walls, the woman smiling with a broken umbrella, the old man feeding birds despite his poverty, people who chose gratitude in the face of loss. She realized then that this was her test. Her heart was being measured, her courage weighed. Without hesitation, she grabbed her coat and rushed to the quiet building. When she arrived, Keanu was already there, waiting, as if he had sensed her coming. She showed him the letter. His face stayed calm, though his eyes grew darker with thought. He read the words slowly, then folded the paper and placed it aside. "Anna," he said, his voice steady, "this is not about the letters. This is about fear. Someone wants to control you with fear. But you must decide now. Will you live under their shadow, or will you stand in your light?" Her lips trembled. "And if the world turns against us?" Keanu's voice was firm, filled with unshaken truth. "Then let them, because the world only wins if it takes away your kindness. As long as you keep that, you are already stronger than them." For the first time since the letters began, Anna felt her fear loosen. She looked into Keanu's eyes and saw not just calmness, but resilience built from pain and carried with dignity. She whispered, almost like a vow, "I will not let them take my light." Keanu smiled, and for that moment, the storm outside could not touch them. But little did they know, the storm was only beginning. The shadow behind the letters was closer than they imagined, and soon, truth and trust would be tested in ways neither of them were prepared for. The shadow steps closer. Days passed, but the storm outside only grew louder. The media followed every move. The internet flooded with endless rumors, and strangers shouted opinions about lives they did not truly know. Everywhere Anna went, she felt the weight of eyes, some curious, some cruel. Keanu stayed calm. He walked beside her in silence, offering his presence as a shield. Whenever her voice shook, he reminded her gently, "Breathe, Anna. Storms are loud, but they always pass." Still, the letters did not stop. Another came, slipped into her apartment late at night. Another was placed on the windshield of her car. Each one carried the same message, warning, threatening, trying, to plant fear in her heart. But this time, there was something different. The handwriting was the same, but at the bottom of the letter, a small symbol was drawn. A circle with a single line through it. Anna showed it to Keanu. His eyes narrowed as he stared at the mark. "I've seen this before," he said softly. "Where?" Anna asked, her heart pounding. "Long ago," Keanu replied. "There was someone I knew, someone who believed fame was nothing but a game of control. He used this symbol as his mark. If it is him, then he's not just after you. He's trying to get to me." Anna froze. "But why?" Keanu's voice was steady, but there was a sadness in his tone. "Because not everyone wants peace. Some people feed on fear. He once told me that kindness was weakness, and that one day the world would prove him right. I walked away from him years ago, but maybe now he has returned." A chill spread through Anna's body. "Then he's watching us." Keanu nodded slowly. "Yes, and that means we must be stronger than ever." That night, they sat together in the quiet building, the candles flickering around them. Mr. Ramos came in, his steps slower than before, but his eyes sharp with wisdom. He listened as they explained the letters, the symbol, and the fear growing around them. When they finished, Mr. Ramos placed a hand on Keanu's shoulder. "You cannot run from shadows. If you run, they will follow. The only way to end their power is to face them in the light." Anna's voice trembled. "But what if the light destroys us too? What if the world turns even more cruel when we step into it?" Mr. Ramos looked at her kindly. "Child, truth always carries risk, but hiding will only give fear more power. If you want to protect your bond, you must walk together, open and unafraid." His words stayed with them long after he left. Silence filled the room as Keanu and Anna looked at each other, both knowing the choice before them. They could keep hiding, or they could step forward and let the world see their truth. Anna's heart beat fast. She remembered the photographs on the wall, the stories of people who found strength in gratitude. She thought of the woman with the broken umbrella who smiled despite losing everything. Taking a deep breath, she whispered, "Then we face it, together." Keanu's eyes softened. He reached out, holding her hand. Together. The next morning, they made their choice. They walked outside, hand in hand, into the sea of flashing cameras. The reporters shouted questions, voices overlapping in a storm of noise. But for the first time, Anna did not hide. She stood tall beside Keanu, her hand steady in his, and somewhere in the crowd, hidden behind the flashing lights, a pair of eyes watched them. The shadow had stepped closer. The real battle was about to begin. The mask begins to fall. The day Keanu and Anna stepped into the public eye together changed everything. Their silent walk, hand in hand, was captured by every camera. Photographs flooded the internet within minutes. Headlines screamed about their bond, some with admiration, others with poison. People argued online. Some praised their courage, others judged their closeness. Fans divided into groups, one defending them, another attacking them with cruel words. Anna felt the storm crash into her like waves against fragile glass. Every time she opened her phone, a new message stabbed her peace. Her manager warned her, "You are risking your career." A friend whispered, "You will lose everything if this continues." But when she turned to Keanu, he remained steady, his calmness like an anchor. "Anna," he told her, "their noise is not our truth. Our truth is in what we share, not in what they shout." Still, the letters did not stop. One night, as Anna entered her apartment, she found not only a letter but also a photograph. It was a picture of her and Keanu standing together outside the quiet building. Someone had taken it from a hidden place. Her blood ran cold. This was no longer just words. Someone was watching them closely, too closely. She rushed to Keanu with the photograph. When he saw it, his eyes darkened, though his face stayed calm. "He is here," Keanu said softly. "Closer than I thought." "Who is he?" Anna demanded, her voice breaking. Keanu sighed, his gaze heavy with memory. "His name is Victor. Years ago, we met during a film project. But he was not just another man chasing fame. He was different. He believed the world was built on power, not kindness. He mocked me for being humble, for showing respect. He said one day my kindness would be my destruction." Anna shivered. "And now he's trying to prove it." Keanu nodded. "Yes, these letters, these photographs, they are his way of reminding me of the promise he once made, that he would return to take everything I protected." Fear filled the air between them. Anna whispered, "But why drag me into this?" Keanu's voice was firm. "Because he knows you are my light. And if he can break your spirit, he believes he can break mine." Anna's chest tightened with both fear and anger. "Then he underestimates me." Keanu looked at her, surprised by the fire in her eyes. She continued, "I have been judged, humiliated, and broken before. But I always stood again. If he thinks I will let him destroy what we have, he is wrong." For the first time, Keanu smiled, not just with his lips, but with his whole heart. "That is the strength I knew was inside you." That night, they returned to the quiet building. Mr. Ramos was waiting, as if he already knew they would come. He listened carefully as they told him about Victor, about the photograph, about the storm pressing harder every day. When they finished, Mr. Ramos said in a calm voice, "The shadow has shown his face. But remember, light grows brightest when darkness pushes closer. You cannot fight him with anger. You must face him with the same kindness he calls weakness. Only then will you truly defeat him." Anna frowned. "But how can kindness stop someone who only wants destruction?" Mr. Ramos smiled sadly. "Because kindness is not weakness. It is strength he does not understand. His power comes from fear, but if you do not fear him, he loses control." Keanu placed a hand on Anna's shoulder. "This is the hardest battle, Anna. Not with fists, not with anger, but with patience, with resilience, with truth." And as the candles flickered around them, they both knew the final confrontation was coming. The shadow was no longer hidden. Victor was close, and soon their courage would be tested in the open. The final test. The night was quiet, but inside Anna's heart a storm raged. She and Keanu knew the moment had come. Victor was no longer hiding in the shadows. The photograph, the letters, the symbol. Everything pointed to him stepping closer, waiting for them to break. Keanu and Anna returned to the quiet building one last time. The candles flickered on the walls. The photographs watched them like silent witnesses. Mr. Ramos sat near the window, his eyes steady, his presence calm. He said only one sentence before leaving them alone. "Truth will be your shield. Use it." Not long after, the sound of footsteps echoed in the hallway. Slow, deliberate, filled with confidence. The door opened, and Victor stepped inside. His eyes were sharp, his smile thin and cold. "So it's true," he said, his voice dripping with mockery. The hero and the star, hiding together in this broken place. Anna's chest tightened, but Keanu stood tall, his calmness unshaken. "Why are you here, Victor?" Victor's smile widened. "To finish what I promised. Years ago I told you, Keanu, your kindness would be your downfall. Look around you. The world laughs at you both. Every headline, every cruel word proves me right. I wanted to show her," he gestured at Anna, "that standing beside you will destroy her too." Anna's fear turned into fire. Her voice trembled, but her words were strong. "You think fear can destroy me? I have faced fear all my life. I have been judged, rejected, and humiliated, but I never gave up. If you think I will let your letters and your threats break me, you are wrong." Victor's expression faltered, but only for a moment. "Words are cheap. When the world turns against you, you will crumble." Keanu stepped forward, his eyes calm, his voice steady as stone. "You don't understand, Victor. Kindness is not weakness. It takes more strength to stay gentle in a cruel world than it does to spread fear. You can send letters, you can watch us, you can whisper lies, but you cannot take the truth of who we are." The silence in the room grew heavy. Victor's smile faded. His eyes darted between them, searching for cracks, searching for fear, but he found none. Anna reached for Keanu's hand, holding it tightly. "You wanted to prove kindness is weakness," she said softly. "But standing here with him, I feel stronger than ever. You've already lost." For the first time, Victor's mask broke. His eyes darkened, and anger flashed across his face. But instead of shouting, instead of fighting, he turned and stormed out of the room, his footsteps fading into the night. The shadow was gone. Anna collapsed into Keanu's arms, tears streaming down her face, not from fear but from relief. "We did it," she whispered. Keanu held her close, his voice calm. "No, Anna, you did it. You faced him without losing yourself. That is true strength." The days that followed were not free of challenges. The media still talked, the world still argued, but the storm inside their hearts was gone. They no longer feared the shadows because they had faced them together. Anna found new courage in her life. She no longer let headlines control her peace. She carried the memory of the photographs, of the lessons, of the truth she had discovered. And Keanu remained the same, calm, humble, steady. But now, he carried something more. He carried the bond they had built, a bond no shadow could break. Together, they stood not as stars, not as victims, but as two souls who had chosen truth over fear, kindness over cruelty, and love over silence. The surprise Keanu gave her was not just a room of photographs or a hidden place. It was a gift of truth, a lesson she would carry for the rest of her life, and for Ana de Armas, it truly was a surprise she would never forget.